Sometimes in football, the darkest news can suddenly be followed by a flicker of hope. For Chicago Bears fans, the last 2 weeks have been an emotional roller coaster filled with injuries, blowout losses, and questions about the very identity of the team. But now, in the midst of frustration, a glimmer of positive news has emerged about one of their biggest stars. The story isn't finished yet, but for the first time since that painful Week 2 loss, Bears Nation has reason to believe better days might be ahead. Before I tell you everything, make sure to hit the like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep growing and bringing you the hottest news from your team. Cornerback Jaylon Johnson, widely regarded as the best defensive player on the roster, will fly to Philadelphia early next week to meet with Dr. William Mayers of the Vincere Institute, a top specialist in core muscle injuries. According to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, the plan is for Johnson to undergo surgery. While surgery usually signals a long absence, the silver lining here is that this could allow him to return in the second half of the season. After days of uncertainty and fear that Johnson's 2025 season was already over, the update feels like a lifeline for a Bears defense desperate for leadership. The injury itself happened in Chicago's Week 2 loss to the Detroit Lions. Johnson went down with a serious groin issue, staying on the turf for several moments before being helped off. Just days later, news broke that he was headed to injured reserve, and fans braced for the worst. This wasn't the first time his health had been in question. Over the summer, Johnson revealed that he'd torn an adductor muscle off the pelvic bone during offseason training, an injury that had already sidelined him for training camp in Week 1. Head coach Ben Johnson originally described the Week 2 injury as a re-aggravation of that problem, but later clarified it was a new issue entirely. Either way, it looked like a nightmare scenario for the defense. Why does this matter so much? Because Jaylon Johnson isn't just another starter. He's the centerpiece of Chicago's secondary and one of the top cornerbacks in all of football. A back-to-back first-team All-Pro in 2023 and 2024, Johnson is the kind of player every opponent circles on the scouting report. Over the last 2 seasons, he's put up 89 tackles, 6 interceptions, 18 passes defensed, 2 forced fumbles, and even a pick 6. He's versatile enough to play in multiple schemes and confident enough to shadow opposing number 1 receivers all game long. Losing that level of production and leadership doesn't just hurt, it breaks the foundation of the defense, and the impact has already been felt. Through 2 games, the Bears' defense has been one of the worst in the NFL statistically, giving up 39.5 points per game and nearly 400 yards of offense per contest. Both numbers rank among the league's bottom 5, and their points allowed average is the very worst in football. The 52 points surrendered to Detroit in Week 2 was embarrassing, but even in the opener against Minnesota, Chicago collapsed in the fourth quarter, allowing 21 points in a furious comeback. To make matters worse, the Vikings have looked lifeless outside of that game, managing just 6 points against Atlanta in Week 2. That's why Johnson's potential return later this season feels monumental. Without him, the Bears' defense has no bite, no identity. With him, there's at least hope of stabilizing the secondary and giving a struggling unit the anchor it needs. The thought of Johnson rejoining the defense in November or December could completely change the outlook for the second half of the year, even if the first few weeks remain rocky. All of this is happening while the spotlight in Chicago has largely been on offense. New head coach Ben Johnson was hired to maximize Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick in the 2024 draft. The rookie quarterback is supposed to be the future, the savior who will finally bring stability to the most important position in sports. But instead of talking about Williams' progress, the headlines right now are all about a defense that has collapsed. It's ironic, while fans wanted to focus on Caleb's growth, the season's biggest storyline has become the absence of their all-pro corner. What comes next? First, Johnson needs to get through surgery and rehab. Core muscle injuries are tricky, but with the right care, a midseason return is realistic. In the meantime, the Bears' coaching staff must find a way to survive without him. Young defensive backs like Kyler Gordon will be thrust into tougher roles, and the front 7 has to step up to generate pressure so the secondary isn't constantly exposed. If Chicago can find a way to hold things together until their star corner returns, the second half of the season could look much different than the start. For Bears fans, the question now becomes, is this season salvageable if Jaylon Johnson makes it back in time, or has the damage already been done? Can Caleb Williams and the offense grow fast enough to balance out a defense that looks completely lost without its leader? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more breaking Bears updates and NFL news every single week.